Welcome back everyone to another video on World of Warship Legends. Today we're taking a look at the Tier 7 Lightning British destroyer. We have a game of domination on Trident. Quick stats on the Lightning. We have 6 guns on this, 120 millimeters. It has a 10.8 kilometer firing range and a 9% fire chance with a 5-second reload time. On the torpedoes we have 2 4-torp launchers, 62-second reload time, and a range of 10 kilometers and a max damage of 15,500. The detectability that I have it set up on is 5 kilometers. And it also has 8 smoke screens. I'm using Reginald Turwit as my commander. He gives us a bonus smoke screens. They last for 41.6 seconds and reload in 42.7 seconds, meaning I can stay smoke screen nearly constantly. In addition, the other big perk that this ship does have is it has 3 sonar charges that last 3 minutes, and it gives you detectability of ships up to 3.5 kilometers away. Taking a look at this game, we're going to be looking at what it means to be a DD, being a little bit aware of where the enemy ships are, and what we need to do to respond to their movements. Early on you saw us check the roster a couple times. What we're looking for there is, one, we're looking for any radar cruisers. We saw that there was a Cleveland out there. So we're going to make sure that we're far enough away from him that if he uses his radar charge, we won't be spotted. Secondly, we're looking to see what destroyers are in the enemy team. There was only one. And we saw that it was in a division with the Cleveland. So if we see the Cleveland, we know that the enemy destroyer is going to be nearby. And finally, we want to look at the other battleships and cruisers, see which one of them have sonar, and kind of be weary of where that sonar can detect us if we're sitting in a smoke screen. Here we see the York pop up, so we're going to go ahead and use our first smoke screen. Just go ahead and start shooting him. As he turns broadside, we're going to switch over to some AP around, see if we can get some penetrations. Unfortunately, these guns aren't as strong as, say, an American Fletcher or other destroyer. So we can get some damage, not huge hits. There we do land some torpedoes on the Colorado. And we're going to go ahead and use this island as cover and kind of back off since we were able to get the cap. The other 2 capture points have not been taken by either team, so right now we're the only team acquiring points, which is fantastic. We see that the York here is going to try to come around the island. We're going to go ahead and fire some torpedoes in his way. The other handy thing with this ship, and all British ships that have torpedoes, is that you have the ability to go ahead and shoot them one by one. This is such a great tool. I really enjoy it. It allows you to spread out the torpedoes a little bit more. One note though is that you have to completely empty a torpedo launcher in order for it to begin the reload process. So if you only fire 3 of the 4 in a single launcher, it's not going to begin reloading. Here we see that the York stopped behind the island. The Colorado's floating back there. We have 2 other battleships that are kind of pushing up. We get spotted here because we have been firing. We're going to go ahead and just keep firing at the Bismarck. We need to be a little bit aware of his secondaries because they can reach this far. But so far, we get back behind the island, drop spot, and now we're just going to keep on hovering around here. We want to make sure that we defend this capture point. Since it is the only capture point gaining points, it's extremely valuable. Colorado is far enough out there. We're going to go ahead and start popping shots at him. Our cruiser up to the north is far enough to the east that he will continue spotting the Colorado, so we don't have to worry about him dropping spot. At this point, we just want to use the guns as much as possible. They can be a great deterrent. Go ahead and just start bleeding some damage off these ships. He doesn't have any offense against us at this point. There's no other destroyers around here. We do see the York. He's still sitting behind the island, so we're fairly safe right now. So taking a look at the mini-map, a lot of their ships have swung over to our side. We see that there are 2 ships over at A, or actually it looks like 3 ships over at A. That is going to be the division that we saw early on with the Cleveland, Otago, and Fletcher. Here we get radar detected. We can safely assume it is that York that's just sitting behind the island. The German cruisers and battleships, they have some fantastic sonar that allows them to see ships a little bit longer range than most other sonars. So we're going to get out of his range. We're still located by someone. We're not sure which ship that is, but we know that it's not the Fletcher, which is kind of the key. So at this point, we need to make sure that we prevent the enemy from capturing this point. We're going to go ahead and open up our guns and start hitting the Reichslu. Right now, it looks like it is the only ship in the cap. Once you see multiple ships get into the cap, you do need to shoot all of them, because while you can reset the capture point, if there's only 2 or 3 ships in there and you're only shooting one of them, it will not fully reset. So here we're going to just keep shooting the Reichslu as much as possible. He did a great job of dodging those torpedoes. But at this point, he's pushing a little hard. Even though it's just 3 friendly ships on this side, he's kind of out in the open. He's real exposed, and he kind of realizes it and turns around. For us, we're just going to keep shooting as much HE as we can. We want to try to capture fires. We want to just make it more difficult for them. The Bismarck comes into range, but as you can see, our smoke screen's about to run out. So we're going to fire one last salvo here, move a little bit further to the central part of the map, and then once we hit the brakes again, because our dispersion time is only 5 seconds once we hit the smoke screen, so we have to make sure that we're stopping in a hurry to stay in it. And we're just going to switch back and forth between the Bismarck and Reichslu, making sure that we're resetting the cap as much as possible. Here we're just going to shoot some zoning torpedoes. We're hoping to maybe get the Bismarck if we're lucky. More than anything, we just want to make sure that we're keeping that cap from being taken. You see, we keep getting fires about every other salvo or so. We're not getting a ton of penetrations, which is fine. Fortunately for the Reichslu, if he hadn't fired his main guns at us there, he would remain unspotted, but there is a penalty for battleships if they fire their guns. Even ships in the smoke screen can see them. Typically, that's either a 15 to 20 second penalty. Our smoke screen once again runs out, so we're going to move a little bit more centrally. We just want to get a peek behind this island, see if there's anyone else back here. Once we're satisfied enough, we're going to go ahead and keep firing the guns. Take a little bit of hit there, nothing too big. Reichslu, we're going to switch back to him. He is doing a good job of sitting right behind these rocks, so our torpedoes can't really reach him, but we can keep firing guns at him. We see the shells flying in from the top. Our enemy battleship has had to retreat a little bit. He was taking a lot of heat here. He had 3 enemy battleships as well as that York. Once we see that no one else is spotted, we're going to go ahead and move outside the smoke screen. We need to make sure that we get them spotted in order to be able to hit them and reset that capture point again. The York has slipped in. He's most likely the one that's holding that point so far up. So we're going to go ahead, fire a couple salvos on him, get a couple more defender medals, and then it resets C all the way back to the midpoint. At this point, I hadn't noticed the enemy battleship that had come up through the middle. For some reason, he just ignored B and immediately started coming for me. I'm going to get punished here for not paying attention. So I'm going to hit the brakes, go ahead and pop the smoke screen once again. And then I want to go ahead and keep moving because I was getting a lot of focus fire right there. Fortunately, they do hit my engine here. I'm just kind of sitting duck until that hits repair. I'm waiting for the torpedoes to reload. We do see that B is beginning to be captured. Seeing that the rest of the enemy team has been eliminated from the ACAP, we're going to assume that that's the destroyer in there. So what we want to do at this point then is we have one locked up cap. We need to get rid of this Bismarck. He's pressing our enemy battleship as well as our cruiser. It's on the far east side. Getting him taken off the map is going to be key. We do see the enemy destroyer become spotted out there at B. The Amagi, great job, rushes in there, is able to take him. So now we have A, we have C, and we're taking B. And what we want to do now is we're okay losing the C cap. We just need to make sure that we stay alive. So we're going to use this island as a little bit of cover. Enemy's going to take C, but that's okay at this point because we still have equal number of caps, and once the Amagi finishes capping B, we will be up. So we're going to go ahead, move back towards the center part of the island, and now we're going to move into complete defensive mode. We want to just make sure that we keep the enemy ships on this side of the map. We are the only destroyer left, so there's no reason for us to be spotted. We see we're still located, so that means someone on the enemy team, either a battleship commander or a cruiser, is running either intuitive or some other perk that gives them the twist and track, just shows the closest ship to their location. The York here is about ready to go down, and then the Bismarck and Reichler are the two remaining. At this point, we're just going to continue using the guns. The guns are a huge tool of destroyers. I feel like it really gets undervalued by most DD players. A destroyer using their guns can easily manipulate a battleship to either turn based on the destroyer's position. They can assume that maybe torpedoes are coming their way, just being a general nuisance. If I'm taking attention away from one of my friendly battleships or cruisers and getting that BB to look at me, even if they are able to take a few shots, as long as I'm engaging at a decent range, I should be able to use the speed of the ship to dodge the shots. So here, once we move into range of the York, we're going to go ahead and keep firing some shots. Here we do get the Bismarck with the torpedo. Our friendly Massachusetts finishes off the York here, and now all that's left is the Reichler. This game was a little weird. No one ever really took B-cap. Both teams just ignored it, went to the wings. Overall, though, this was a great example. Knowing when to engage with your destroyer, knowing when to use your guns, when to throw some torpedoes out there. But it's always about just protecting your health points, making sure that you're surviving the battle as long as possible, because ultimately that will just lead to a higher win rate for you. Another thing to consider with destroyers or any other ship that you like to play regularly, I have equipped this Lightning with a permanent camo. This was a new mechanism they added back in the fall. I think it's great, especially for ships you play regularly. Lightning, I'm going to play it 10 to 20 times every week, so it's a little pointless to use disposable camos on it. Fantastic all around. I do like the look of always having a black ship also. Let me know what you guys thought on this video. Do you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts on the Lightning in general? It's one of the favorite tech tree ships at Tier 7, and probably my favorite destroyer overall. The guns, they're not the best, but they're going to be serviceable. The torpedoes aren't the best, also serviceable. And the sonar smoke combination just put it over the top. I think it's one of the best threats at Tier 7. If this is the first time you've watched the channel, please consider subscribing. We have lots of older videos on how to play each role within the game. We'll have more videos on specific ships coming out your way shortly. Have a great day.